Namaste and welcome. A lot of birds chirping this morning, just singing their hearts out. That's our function. Come sing a song of joy. Thank you for joining us to sing together in this. Yeah, Jesus is reminding me about stay with it. Stay with this holy purpose. Stay focused on him and his assignments and just follow the assignments. That's what he says. And they're the breadcrumbs. Like he's showing me the highway again. You know, people were talking about and asking yesterday, does he use pictures? Yes. I just say, are you showing me that? So I can always be distinguishing between something that's just arising in consciousness and then that he's something given by him. Because he can use all of consciousness when our mind's available. And then it's our function for discernment to really discern, is that Jesus's voice or is that the you know what other voice? The no way out voice, the voice that pretends there's no way out of what we already are. That's really the truth. There's no way out of being what we are. We can't be anything other than light. And then that's what the kerfuffle is about. That's the big argument. I'm going to have an argument with God today about being light. The tiniest twitch is the argument. That's just very humbling. To set ourselves up to pretend like we can't wake up right now. That the dial isn't already set to permanently to infinite. So, lesson 85. Yeah, he's reminding me, oh man, you just get those love cuddles just looking, see, because it's turning toward infinite light for the expression to be shown like every minute of every day that love is always here. So when we turn into love, you know, Muji calls it being kissed from inside. And then I remember thinking, well, I'm not getting any kisses. Well, you're not the one who's going to be getting kisses. You are the love kiss of God. That's it's the play of saying no to the permanent infinitum, infinity of love of God. So the ego is always the one that's complaining. There's no one to complain. It's the snooze alert. Any kind of complaining is the alert of the nap of death, the nap of something wrong. There's something wrong. Somebody done me wrong song. That's funny. You know, I ask if I can talk about it. He says, yes. You see how he starts using everything, but he has to use it. Like he has to decide. There's so much love in that when he decides, okay, do I share that story? Then he's guiding the miracles for me. And he's retranslating the story. See, then the story goes through the Holy Spirit washing machine to be cleaned by the light. And so one of the things in NLP, or Tony Robbins would say this too, and like you could just write your story of your life and then you sing it like a song, like a somebody done me wrong song. You know, I've been treated, been mistreated. When will I be? Or you just turn it into a almost ridiculous song. So we can see the storyline, of something happening to a me, which the ego doesn't want to see, that there's nobody happening, no one happening. It's not possible to be a person. You can ask Jesus, is it possible actually? Are there a person? David would say, God is no respecter of persons. And you kind of go, huh? Because there aren't any. It's an idea. It's a concept. It's a concept to make separate. So lesson 85, today's review will cover these ideas. This is so holy. To reflect on infinite light of being together. You just start to see how powerful this is with him. Like it just leaves nothing. This book leaves nothing, which is what we are. Nothing, no thing. It cleans every catacomb of denial. If you want the complete Monty, leave no doubt thoughts unturned into the light of divine being. This is the text right here, this one. But then we have to sit with him, because otherwise it becomes this intellectual play. That's what the book has become. There's so much love coming when this is said, you know, so I know it's from him. Not to let this be an intellectual discussion and comparatives. And I've been in the course for 30 years, so I know. See, the ego's still in the I know. I know how the course works. That's why he's like encouraging us. At some points, he said, you got to toss the course out. That's why New Covenant, to shake things up a little bit. The complacency, he says, complacency must be mine, because where else would it arise for me? Yeah, it's a call. Come with me, come with me, come with me. And see how lost it's discussion and how far off track, really. I'm asking him if I to say this, you know, I don't want any opinions. Opinions are death. If it comes from an I or a me, it's an opinion. So I want it to come completely from him. And he says it's so far off track. There's so much intellectualism in the Course in Miracles. It's not for that. When he says no magic, he means no magic. He's not teaching magic. He's not teaching food preferences and which recipes to use. And yes, it can all be by spirit, but it's not books for better health. It's look with me now to see that you are life itself. That's what his message is here. Look now to see the infinite light of being, and that you do have the power to choose differently. And his message is he's in control. And that message, I guess I must not have wanted to hear it, because I just didn't get that part. So I must needed to hear it like extra deep. I am in control of the atonement. I am in control of all miracles. That is salvation right there. That recognition and that honoring that he is in control of every miracle. And that's where our true happiness lies. He is in control of every miracle. And that's what he's teaching us. The speed of this. And to go to him for everything. And you just see the blessing in that. I've spoken of it before, where, you know, I could hear spiritual teachers talking about, well, you know, this is just spirituality. You just see who you are, and that's not going to take care of all the problems of the world. It's not because of desire to experience problems in the world. This teaching is all the way. All the way to transcend every problem of the world. Jesus doesn't have a writing that says, okay, some of those problems are okay for you to keep. No, those problems are what you desire. So if you see that you desire them and you're willing to see them in the light of truth, you'll see they do not exist. He's saying that a lot of the teachings are like turning outward. He's saying, no, you can't do this without turning within. I'm asking him if I talk about all these things. Yes. There's just all kinds of things appearing in consciousness that are seemingly of the course. Maybe some will say it's this book. I can't say. I can just say for me. I can just say what I hear him saying right now. Be with me. Follow me. Let me control the miracles. Give all miracles to me. That's just the fastest way. Know that you can speak to me. Know that this is the only voice worth hearing, he says, the only voice worth hearing and speaking. No voice has any other function in this world. That's pretty absolute. My grievances hide the light of world in me. 69. He's saying, the Son of God, would you choose these over me? Which is you, really. Would you choose? But we don't see where we're choosing them. That's why we need him to show us where the choice is being made to say no to divinity. What he's offering is so quick and so sure. You must stay with it. The ego wants to, okay, I'm going to find a new plan other than the one assigned to me by Jesus. It's going to complain and it whinges. That's its function. It's like, I want heaven just until, until I have to actually stand into the Nile. That's what it is. Jesus, David would say, face your rage. Well, face your desire for rage now. That you have the power to stand into the wanting of the experience of rage, because rage is the cover over of the denial. So stand into below the rage to the desire, and then see how rage, and you can ask him, Jesus, rage a cover over. And you'll notice that it's so potent. It's so potent to just get curious with these sessions with Jesus, so he can just show you, or show you. He used the word show you. He will show you, not as a person, how the playing consciousness comes up out of desire and wants to frolic in the land of evil, good and evil. You'll see how much direct looking at desire is avoided, because it's going to dissipate in the light. And you'll see, there'll be the distractions. I tell that story Muji tells about this woman that was following her master. She said, sit, stillness and silence. You are the unmoving one. Do not pay any attention to the moving. So she was sitting, infinite light as we do, as we laughed until a cockroach comes or something. See, that's moving. So in her case, she was sitting there and these colors just started dancing across. It was just the most spectacular color display. But she listened to her teacher, stay with the unmoving, stay as the unmoving, but it seems with the unmoving until you see, okay, that's all there is unmoving. She said, no, 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 I'm not going there. See, that's what we have to say. When he gives us an instruction to stay with the desire, you stay with the desire. Because you'll see how the ego wants to pop out like a little cork and go into the story of why you're mad. And it'll tell stories about which desires you have and which desires you have not cleared from the light of truth. It just tells them. Okay, and so she's sitting there. And all of a sudden, the most angelic singing, like her heart was filled with love. It was angelic singing, but she knew if it moves, that's not it. See, it's attentiveness to the teaching of the truth. It's an affiliation with the moving as identity that causes all the suffering of this world. So he's bringing us down to where the root is, to lift it by the roots. Yes. Can you look at beliefs? Yes. Can you express the emotions? If you anything expressed with the intention to see it another way, but you'll spend a lot of time there. Like he's saying it again. It's a slow boat to China. Do you want the slow boat, or we want to go to the root of it so it doesn't even arise in consciousness? It's a release at the level of desire, the purification, you could call it that. David calls it emptying the contents of consciousness. The energetic investment in suppression of the desire to say no to God, so then it pops out, and then the ego can look for evidence to prove that God is dead. To stay with the desire, the wanting, and just let it go as many ways. It's like I'm asking him, it's okay to call it this. It's riding, it's surfing desires. It's surfing the wanting. Let it rise up. And you'll start to notice it, and then you can just sit with it when it starts to come. Instead of going into projection and somebody done me wrong, you'll go, oh, I just feel the itch here. It's just that itch. And then you sit with the itch, and it can disperse in the light of truth, in infinite. Ask for a miracle. So we don't have to go into the story. We don't have anything. It's before, see, the story is already born. It's birth. It's the timeline being born. It's the tiny mad idea blooming out into some kind of what it's not. It's like, no, I'm wanting. It's a wanting. You'll start to recognize, And then you can just sit with Jesus. Just ignore the ego. It's going to fit. Oh, this is terrible. I'm going to die. Just ignore all that. Jesus, do I change what I'm doing, what I'm looking at? And he'll say, no, just be with this. Am I done yet, Jesus? He'll say, yes or no. Look again. Look deeper. Can I go deeper? And just go as deep as he'll bring you. But you'll see it wants to pop out and tell a story. That's why he also says, like on chapter 20, or even in just regular joinings from the Joining Light worksheet, it's a way to discern which voice is speaking, because the ego wants to get hold of learning, even the unlearning. It wants to get hold of it. So if he says something to you, then you ask, okay, do I say that? And then you say it. You say what he tells you or what he showed me. Jesus showed me that I wanted XYZ. This is what I'm learning from Jesus. That's an authentic expression. And then we're just expressing what he's telling us. Here's what he told me. And it's so natural. You know, that was the helpfulness of the prison, his teaching when I went in prison. And all it was just putting these thoughts, feelings, emotions in the light. And then that beings didn't have to do anything. All of a sudden, they're talking about God's next assignment, what Jesus showed them, or the light showed them. You know, where the guy came in and he was really upset about a letter or something that he had gotten, or some kind of interaction he had had. And he sat with and put it in the light. It was like, oh, okay, now I'm feeling I can write that letter. It was just the next assignment. See that we can hear the spirit when we clear these desires, and we can hear the spirit. That's why before grabbing hold of some assignment, we either join with a partner or with Jesus to clear out the desires to go sideways on it and not follow it. My grievances hide the light of the world in me. Jesus, am I willing to admit that my grievances hide the light of the world in me? My grievances show me that what is not there, and hide from me what I would see. Recognizing this, what do I want my grievances for? The real beauty of this, I'm asking Jesus about this. So it just seems like things are getting worse. It really does. It feels like, holy shit, you know, I'm coming on this journey. I'm still asking him, it's okay to say all that. He says, yeah. You know, and I'm coming on this journey, and by goodness, Jesus, I'm giving everything over to you. And what the hell? It feels like hellstorm, hellfire. You know, I'm giving you everything. Well, first of all, who's saying that? It was Jesus showing we are everything, but it can play like that because we're stepping into the fire. Some of it is that now there's spaciousness for what's suppressed to come into awareness in the light of divine being. And it's the interpretive function within consciousness. That's why we ask Jesus. That's why we have the one who knows to tell us that whether we're releasing or not. And not to be concerned. It's just old dead energy. Like Muji says, you're carrying a dead fish in your pocket. Well, it's coming out. It's a little stinky there. But that's the interpretive function. It could be the most helpful thing. It can be the most helpful thing. You can ask Jesus. This has been so instructive. So much love in this. To see that the ego wants to be involved in this every which way but loose. Every way it can, it wants to be involved. Telling us we haven't had a miracle, that's a favorite. You have not had a miracle. No, the only one you can ask is Jesus, because we don't even recognize miracles. We don't want to. Now, consciousness is a miracle suppression vehicle. It's so instructive when he tells you, you absolutely do not know what a miracle is. You do not even know when you've had one. It's it's happy humbling. It's happy humbling. So start with not knowing what one is. See, because the ego gets hold of that too and says, it's a change in perception. It'll conceptualize that. I've had a miracle. No, what happened was the grievances goes underground. Because you didn't go all the way down to see where you really wanted to keep it. You were kind of ooching on it, kind of give them a little bit, because that's why beings say this keeps arising. Why does it keep arising? Because way down there is a belief that heaven's in it. And Jesus can bring you down. Jesus, show me where I believe heaven is this. Now we're getting somewhere. Because if you ask him that, be ready to see. Be ready to see it. But see and know that it carries the power of God with it, infinite, because it's the fractionation in consciousness is to make heaven hell and hell heaven and flip it. So those two have to get married again, to try to carefully keep that apart, the recognition that heaven's here. It has to be thought to be hell. The only way heaven can't be here is it has to, the consciousness has to make it seem like heaven is hell. So if we're going to look, we might as well go all the way to the flip in consciousness, to flip, to see how hell is being miscreated on the fly, moment by moment, through these subconscious desires to experience hell and pretend it's heaven, pretend that pleasure is heaven. But he'll bring you down there to show the grievances against ourselves, to keep hell alive in the mind, seemingly. But is he saying your mind is blank when you're in hell? You can ask him, Jesus, when I'm pretending that heaven is hell and hell is heaven, is my mind blank? So humbling. Oh my gosh, too funny. Recognizing this, what do I want my grievances for? They keep me in darkness and hide the light. Grievances and light cannot go together, but light and vision must be joined for me to see. To see, I must lay grievances aside. I want to see, and this will be the means by which I'll exceed, because it's the reversal of not wanting to see. It's a reversal of giving the light the boot. Let's just ask, we'll do a check-in. Jesus, do I have a desire below my level of awareness to squash infinite light, supreme happiness out of awareness? And you just go with them till he says no. Jesus, do I believe that heaven is suppressing light out of awareness? Can we ask for a miracle for that? Then we can just yawn it out. Grievances and light cannot go together. So that's a good light test. We'll check in with the light. Okay, in the light of divine being and honesty of God, can the infinite light of being have a grievance in there? We'll just check in and see if there are any grievances in that light. So that's all we're doing. We're just releasing from the catacombs into the light of divine being, which we already are, the light that lights everyone that's born, the light that we share. The only thing shared is light. You can ask Jesus. Jesus, is the only thing shared light? Which is love. It's helpful, I'm asking, to call it light, because the word love is flavored by the ego's interpretive function. I don't have any love. That's because, or when we feel unloved, it's because we are investing in a concept of what love is. So the great thing about the recognition of light, it doesn't have anything around that until we recognize it and realize and cease to deny that that's the same as love. So it makes it simple. See that the light just is. And then you can ask Jesus. He needs to even tell you that that's love. The light is love, the same, mismo. Because the denials are so strong in the play of consciousness to go, oh, that's really nice. That light, yeah, it's interesting. Okay, now I got to go to work. You know, in the play of consciousness, we would not carve out 1 hour a day to clear denials with Jesus. We got to look at that pretty seriously. That we're too busy too busy to sit with Jesus and go through those desires from A Course in Miracles. That's just delay. He's saying it's just delay. He says, yeah, that's just delay. I just said, Jesus, is that unworthiness? He said, yes. He says, do not underestimate how much the ego's going to want to avoid that. But you're more powerful than that is. You have to admit and stand into divine power. There isn't another way. The power of divinity to recognize itself and cease to deny it. To see, I must lay grievances aside. I want to see, and this will be the means by which I will succeed. Specific applications for this idea might be made in these forms. Let me not use this as a block to sight. Jesus, will you remind us of this lesson today? That's just opening up to be helped, really. The light of the world will shine all this away. So let's just take any grievance, any like something that you're hopping mad about, let's just say if that arose. Just blistering, some story from childhood, doesn't matter what it is. And do the light test with it. The infinite light of being that we all share. Remember, my niece saw it. Those guys in prison, there was no discussion of what light is. There was one word. Put this in the light. Put everything, all these thoughts, feelings, and emotions, let's just put them in the light and see what happens with them. That's all that's needed is the light test. You can ask Jesus, that is join with me in a moment of light. Do this in memory of me. And just take whatever that seemed to be and place it in the light and just see, does it survive? Like Roger, in a state of quite upset rage over being kept in prison for 30 years and not being granted parole. It's the same. It's no different. We've put ourselves in prison, whatever our lifetime is, count the years. The prison of the mind. So, and then we're rageful about it. And so we just put that in the light. And he could see as a reflection to me, he could see that something, and I knew it here too. That was for me. I knew it, that upset underneath there had to be cleared or he would never walk out of that prison. Because now I understand it's a grievance against ourselves. We have to put the grievance against ourselves in the light of divine being. And see that the light holds no grievances. And with that, we'll see the truth. I have no need for this. I want to see. So you just put any upset, like Chloe said, my 7-year-old niece, how precious. Chloe, what happens when you place that upset in the light? What happens to it? It melts trouble. Would we accept such a simple solution? Thank you for reminding me how simple that solution is. Would we accept that? How simple that, the speed of that correction. We want to tell a story about it. We want, none of it's bad. But if we're going for speed and power of divinity right now, right here, to resolve any conflict, any trouble, any problem, then the light's here to accept those, to show that they're not true. My salvation comes from me. This is what the ego does not want to admit. You can ask Jesus. This is the gig right here. My salvation comes from me. That there's no other that puts us in hell or saves us from hell. See, we're seeking in form to be a savior in form, seeking in form to be saved in form. Equally both death. Salvation comes from the admission of the inner light and the light of divine being and honesty of God. Where else can salvation come? We want it to come from our brother. We want to project and then have our brother change his behavior so we can be happy. To treat us differently. As Jesus said, the desire to be mistreated. See that the light is not looking for anything to change to be what it is. Is the light in there going, okay, it just is. It's everything. It's without time or space. It does not look toward the temporal, the temporary, to define itself because it just is. That's us. Jesus, is that me? You can ask him, is that me? Today I will recognize where my I got to start over. Today I will recognize where my salvation is here. Yeah, I could see that play. I really didn't want to accept that whatsoever, not a shred of it. That's the turn, though. The turn is full on acceptance that it's here. It's a decision and the buck stops here. It does not stop with the coronavirus. It does not stop with our family members. It does not stop with brothers and sisters. It stops here with the decision to cease to deny honesty of God. God, Jesus, I admit I'm denying that I'm light. I see that I'm light. I'm admitting that I'm light. Can you help me with a miracle? Yes. Can you show me where I really, really, with every bit of energy I have, do not want a miracle? Yes. That's the way out. Today I will recognize where my salvation is. It is in me because source is there. Jesus, is source within me? It's really a beautiful thing. I'm asking if you're in a meditation and you just, instead of watching the thoughts go out and following them like a little, like a hound dog down a trail, 'cause that's oh my gosh, it's hilarious. I'm so dogified. Jesus, another way he's shown me I'm wrong. I've been wrong, Anyway, now you have dogs as our teachers. But instead of following the thoughts down, go the other way. Like, I'm going to get curious. What is the source of this thought? And just follow it back. Or if you have a feeling, follow it. Where is it coming from? We never question that. It just, there it is. And then that's a big fat assumption that means something. That's a huge assumption. Who got inside our head and told us, you know what this means and here's what this means? No, we decided to make it mean what it means. But we don't have to. Who says we have to believe a single thought in our head? Who said that? This is hilarious if we really look at it, all the assumptions. Who says thoughts are true? Like, there's not a little man in there, powering the whole system, riding a little bike, one of those bikes that puts out electrical charges and it keeps the system going. What is doing that? Like, we just get curious. What is the source? Just take a single thought and go, where's that come from? And just follow it back to source. Where does it come from? It has not left its source, and so it cannot have left my mind. Can the light leave the source, the infinite light of being? Let's just see. It is source. The light is source. Source is here. Just look in there. Let's just look and see. Jesus, can salvation come outside of me? Now, it can be helpful for a time. It's seemingly like a form that seems to be helpful. But even Muji, it only can point to light. We can only point. We don't teach. Like, I love that about Muji. He doesn't teach. He doesn't call it teaching. He says, I'm pointing you to look at what you are already. See, that's why it's light circles. We're looking at what we are already until we see that we can't look at it. We are it. See that the light's here. So we start with the infinite light of being what's already present. And then you do neti. Not this, not that. Jesus has the perfect not this, not that cleaning machine. Stay with me, follow me. Holy relationships. Honesty of God, cease to deny. Ask for, let me guide all the miracles. Hear my voice. I will not look for it outside myself. It is not found outside and then brought in. That's the play of the ego. See, bringing in means it's seeking. There's an energetic wanting. Ego's currency is push, pull. Just notice the light. Is there any push or pull in infinite light of being? What is here. So everything we need to know, we can learn from the light because it's what is. Does it push or pull? Does it have a beginning or end? Does it have a size or a shape or a color? Does the light move? Now, how do we know that? How does everyone know and answer that question? How does a 7-year-old with no Course in Miracles training notice the light? Oh, what do you see? All is forgiven. 3 words, all is forgiven. In the light of divine being, honesty of God, is all forgiven. Is salvation already here, Jesus? Here is only answer. It can't be anywhere else. But from within me, it will reach beyond, and everything I see will reflect the light that shines in me and in itself. These forms of the idea are suitable for more specific applications. Let this not tempt me to look away from me for my salvation. See, projection is an attempt to look away to try to find salvation outside of ourselves, out there. It's going to be out there. Some change in circumstance is going to guarantee my salvation. No, your salvation is already guaranteed because of identity, the light within. I will not let this interfere with my awareness of source of my salvation. He's pointing to the power we have. As he told me, you're too tolerant. And I was tolerating it, tolerating all of it. We have to admit, we are tolerating delusion.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
We are tolerating delusion. This has no power to remove salvation from me. See that nothing has, there's a single thing we can think of, conjure up. Does a single memory, thought, emotion have the power to change light? Does a single thought, feeling, or emotion have more power than light? Can we find it? If we can find it. So really, it's just the admission that we're light. See, we don't want to admit, I could see that. I didn't want to admit that. Whole diatribe. I do not want to see that I'm light. I don't want to see it. I want to kill that. I want to kill it. See, until we get to that point where we're just realizing how much we want to kill light, it's a good thing to see that. Out of awareness. I'm asking Jesus, yes, to confirm it. Love's calling you. Calling you just to see that it's already here. Don't have to do anything for it. Do you have to do anything to see that the light's here? See that you don't have to do anything to be forgiven. It's not doing. Willingness is not doing. See, willingness is letting go of doing to being, to accepting what already is. That's the only thing we're doing, is accepting whatever is. We're not accepting whatever arises in consciousness, because we made what arises, and if we accept it, that's like making it true. So there's a distinction about acceptance. We're accepting that we're wrong about everything. That's powerful acceptance. We're accepting that we're infinite light of being. And ceasing to accept what we aren't, the illusion. Thank you, Jesus. That's clear. So much love in this. Thank you so much. And we will, Lori is going to sing for us, sing us on into our day. My salvation comes from me. Give it to me, Jesus. I'm ready to see it.
Good morning, loveliness. This is called Goodwill Humming, inspired by the movie and the message of Goodwill Hunting. Goodwill Humming. San Juan, screaming, counterfeit screams seeming real. Oh, sweet soul sister, only love free being light is underneath. Oh, where do I find it? Can be overcome? Hey, yeah, 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 goodwill shining. Maybe something is calling me, calling me, calling me, calling me out. Oh, it's goodwill humming. Are you really something beautiful? Calling me, calling me, calling me, calling me now. And we are blessed to be here now. So won't you take me back? We are blessed to be here now. Won't you take me back? So won't you take me back all the way? Won't you take me back all the way? Take me back all the way. Under your wing all the way. San Juan, Kusala, blazing light, calling your name. San Juan, Kusala. See what is here now. 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 Under your wing all the way. See what is here now. Rock on for Jesus.
Rock for God.
Rock for light.
Thank you, beloveds. Now, I think, Lord, tomorrow's live too? We can. Okay, so we're trying to have a full year and some of the recordings are not around. So we're going to record them so they're all live and that we have 365 days of lessons. So we're missing a few. We're going to record live tomorrow too. So thank you for coming. We love you. Thank you for bringing your holiness straight up.